X and your pulse and your hex bags pump is actually going to be all the speculation that happens underneath it, right? So all that value ultimately pushes up those main Richard coins in the next cycle, I think that's what gets me excited about pulsechain. I've never been a big believer in the code of the T-share magically making hex price go up. That's never been my view. But I am a believer in people building interesting use cases. Whether it's in NFTs or DeFi or whatever, meme coins, whatever, that ultimately bring users and speculation over to pulsechain. That is something I believe actually pushes up the value of your hex bags and your pulse hex bags and your pulse bags. So if you're just like the most toxic Richard Hart maxi, that's great. I think I'm helping you.
What's going on, everybody? It's your host, the Crypto Wonder. Let's get right into it. Hope you're doing well as always. Now, again, like I believe this, and this is what it is. We're one day closer to the next all-time high for Hex, pulsechain, and pulsex. Okay? Let's make no mistake about that, because once the bull market returns, which it will, it is what it is. What goes up has to come down and then go right back up again. Oh, it's going to be a different type of feeling that those of us who stayed this long and will be a part of the bull market are going to experience. I'm telling you, it doesn't fail. It is what it is. What I find completely amazing, I'm going to say. What I find amazing is how now it's T-share season. Why? Why all of a sudden now, everybody, not everybody, but a few people been about it since, the whole time. But like the majority, I'm hearing all this stuff. What happened with today? What happened today that everybody talking about T-share season? What's going on, right? T-share raid. I'm seeing posts about T-share. Oh, what? Y'all forgot? Y'all forgot? You forgot the everyday 00 UTC cha-ching ching? You forgot? No, you didn't forget. You just didn't respect. You disrespected yourselves by ignoring everything T-share related. Now the tides have turned. People leaving SAC projects and now just focusing on Hex and pulsechain. Change their handle. They know they don't hashtag sacrifice projects anymore. It's just sacrifice. Now it's hashtag Hex, $Hex. Right. I told you all the roads in this shanty town, all the roads point to Hex. All the roads. It's what it is. You see the likes of, I'm still waiting for a response from these developers. Like, it doesn't get more direct than this. It does. But, I've already called out a couple developers. They don't, my channel's small. It's fair. It's cool. They're not gonna see this video. It's what it is. I know my role in my position in life. I recognize it and embrace it. It is what it is. But I'm not gonna falter or stop asking certain questions until I get some kind of answer. Oh, it's like a wolf howling at the moon at night. Oh, like preaching to the choir, or in this case, I'm speaking to a device. My ego chamber, right? I tell you, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've been saying this for since I heard it with my own ears. I've been saying, like, you have people who really believe, or at least I should say one person who just openly publicly said that they don't believe in T-shares helping Hex price go up. Flat out. And then I'm saying to myself, well, okay, well, of course you're going to have people challenge that. Of course. No one has challenged that. And people, I mean, now I'm not talking about people like me and, end users, bloggers and things of that nature, and investors and folks who play with this crypto thing. I'm not talking about, folks like that. No, 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 no. Naturally, I would think that, quote unquote, founders slash builders, developers would rise to the occasion and respond to a statement like that. Right? Wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't that naturally just make sense for someone who created a token to align with Hex, right? To work closely, practically side by side with the Hex token, to not say anything to another person who purportedly is a builder, who believes that the rate of the T-share will not help Hex price go up, is amazing to me. I'm just, wow. Y'all not gonna say anything? You're not gonna say anything? Man, silence is golden. You could logically at some point presume that, oh, if you're not gonna say anything about it and you created tokens to align with Hex, to operate with Hex derivatives, if you're not going to say anything to go against what somebody else who doesn't believe in the T-share rate, and as far as that statement, you're not going to go against that statement, that means you probably, either one, you don't care, two, you believe that the T-share rate won't help the Hex price go up, or three, you don't care and you believe the price won't help, the T-share rate won't help the price of Hex go up. I mean, what's there? What else is there? Not care? Like what? I don't get it. What? We're talking about folks who, it's just weird. It's weird to me, How many times, you came out with a project called Hedron. In the beginning, it was, and mixed reviews is an understatement. There were people who legitimately, openly just said they're going to dump that token. They didn't believe in Hedron. It faced an uphill battle to be accepted and win some type of favor from the community. It did. And Hedron persevered and is still persevering. 6 months later or so, ICOSA was created. So now you're building an ecosystem within the ecosystem with tokens that seem just, wow. The use cases of those tokens are amazing, giving people an opportunity to acquire T-shares that they could not have bought in the past. It's like a thing to catch up with time. There's ways to manipulate time in our favor. That's what these tokens do, like the derivatives, Hedron and ICOSA. If you study, go do the research. If it's about the principle of how those things work, I enjoy it a lot. I learned a lot. I enjoy the process of how these tokens are created and how they work and what they offer end users. Most importantly, tied to the T-share rate, 5,555,000 Hedron tokens is equivalent to one hex T-share. I'm sorry, one hex T-share. One T-share for hex. Because you need a certain number of hex to acquire one T-share. And that number grows over time because the T-share rate grows over time exponentially. We've seen it. They said when hex, was created, also in the beginning, the T-share rate at the start, it only is subjective, but you needed about 10,000 hex to acquire a T-share. Now it's upward over 29,000 hex to acquire a T-share. So it goes to show you how this thing expands and just moves up over time. The whole up and to the right statement. My goodness. And to be a builder, and you had the presence of mind to create a strategy to utilize some type of coding, right? To code what you were thinking and create pools of tokens. So that way, folks who don't really have a huge amount of, monetary energy or money can participate in a pool from a token that's also bonded to the hex token with the perpetuals and everything like that. Like, incredible stuff. I give credit where it's due. Like, this stuff is like, wow, man, okay. You could maximize off of this, like literally the term Maximus token. 15-year, a stake. You could be a part of the pool as long as you hold Maximus token. The whole thing was just, wow. You didn't have to sacrifice for Hedron. You didn't have to sacrifice for there were no sacrifice. In other words, there were no sacrifice periods for Hedron and the whole Maximus collective. There were no sacrifice stuff. It was different, unique, strategic. Sure. And since then, Maximus they came out with like numerous other tokens, with the same philosophy. It's just, the time, the time differences between Maximus 15-year, then you had Base 1 year, Trio 3 year, Lucky 7 year, Deci 10 year, and other tokens too that do different things. Tied to what? Tied to hex. Tied to what? Tied to the T-share rate. And then these guys from the PH crew collective, the head of that crew doesn't believe the T-share rate will help the price of hex go up. And then this gentleman, the head of the PH crew, was reaching out to founders, celebrates founders, supports builders, supports these people who are creating projects to add to the pulsechain ecosystem, right? You've said the names, you've asked, you've reached out to them, you've mentioned Alex's name, you mentioned Dipcatcher, you mentioned these guys. And I find it interesting, your take on the T-share rate is pretty much going against the coins they created. It's going against the projects they created before you. And they have nothing to say to you about that. Never mind if they're, talking about their stance would actually affirm Hex's presence and its utilization and its operation and what it's done, it will continue to just lend validity. Everything could be verified on the Hex side of things. Not only would that help and strengthen the stance and of course, indirectly and directly support Richard and what he's created and how things have come to be. It will also maybe help you update your worldview, PH. Or maybe not update your worldview. Everybody has a right to decide what they want to decide. And this is the thing here. This is the thing. To bring up questions like these, you would hear, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anyone else ask this question. I'm just asking it because I think it's something that deserves an answer from the developers that created tokens aligning with Hex in whatever capacity, specifically with the T-share rate. Because over time, even if you're pooling your tokens, the tokens are going to increase in value based on the T-share rate. And the numbers of tokens that you're going to receive based on how long you've staked the tokens, longer pays better, etc., etc., etc. Longer, bigger pays better, all that stuff. Do your research. You would think that these guys will say, "Oh no, we need to talk. Let's iron this out. Let's have a meeting of the minds, a real meeting of the minds, publicly, because this was publicly said. So you should have a public discussion to help further education in that sense. Help further what? Even marketing. You have builders now who getting into deep discussion, deep, profound talks about this ecosystem here with code, dealing with code. If you don't understand code, help the coders educate you. Even if it doesn't even have to be, you don't even have to have a discussion with, the founders of other coins. You could have a discussion with Kyle. Remember him? If he's available, if he's, reachable or whatever, who can educate you on the T-share rate and what it does and how it operates and how it works. Or other people. Because not believing in the T-share rate helping the price of Hex goes up is akin to me not believing in Richard and thinking that he was just trolling the entire crypto space. And I put my foot in my mouth. That was one of the worst mistakes I've ever did and done in crypto. Because I stood in my own way. I wasn't a believer in Hex, but it seems like you, sir, are not a believer in Hex. Buck, you're not. You're a believer in what you created. You're a believer in different strategy and what you created. And it's not about bad faith. It's about the truth. It's about the truth. Going by what you show, what you've done, what you've, created. And that's it. This is not about feelings. I don't know you. We'll never meet you. It's just laying out what's there. Make no excuses for nobody. I'm not making any excuses. Sorry, not sorry. You don't believe in Hex. And that to me is, say that. Say that. And you put your flag down. And you said you don't see how the T-share rate will help the Hex price improve. You put your flag down. What type of reverberation in a person of sound mind would think, oh man, this is not going to end well for him. It's not going to age well. Like, where is the uproar from the community? Where is the uproar? Oh, everybody quiet because everyone doesn't care. Because they're thinking about 100, 200 other projects that they're waiting to come on board, or everything, the 4,000 coins that's already in the chain. They're too distracted. They lost their vision. They lost their way. That's what people are doing. That's what folks are focusing on. So now it's your opportunity to be a first mover and introduce things that have worked on Ethereum, right? For other types of interests, people want to leverage trade, borrow against their coin, do all kinds of other stuff because that's a need. There is a market for that, absolutely sure, and that's great. But stick to that. And to discredit Hex T-Share, you're discrediting the origin, the nucleus of what created all this to this point. This whole community. Y'all are bugging out. Y'all are bugging out. Y'all are bugging out. It was said, and it needs to be addressed. And not by me, by the people involved, by the people who this directly and indirectly impacts too. Because what does that say? For investors who use the tokens and do whatever they do with them, who use them, right, to participate in auctions, to borrow against their Hedron, to sell their HSIs for ICOSA, to stake their ICOSA for Hedron and more ICOSA, or to stake their Hedron for ICOSA. What does this say for people who utilize these tokens in a multitude of ways, huh? What does it say for folks who put their monies in tokens like Base, Trio? Base is about to come up on its payment period, where it has to pay what? For every 1 hex, anyone who's holding the Base token should expect to receive 1.1 at least, or 1.125 hex for every Base token. What does that say for folks who dealing with these different slew of basket of derivatives that are out here? Folks, this is y'all. This is bigger than about some FUD. This is not about FUD. This is about reality. It's about the truth. Like let's bring this back. Let's come back down to earth and to the table and look at things for what they really are. Look at things for what they really are. What does that say? That you don't defend the T-share rate. Stick up for something that you created. You created it. You created not the T-share rate. I'm saying you created coins that go with Hex. Like you just let somebody just defecate on your whole thing indirectly, saying, "Oh, what you did was really a wash," because I don't see how the T-share rate is going to magically improve Hex, because that's basically what was said. And you coming out with projects, you guys continuously work, right? You guys continuously program and develop things, develop more coins and contracts and systems. What are you doing, Alex? Creating a thing to, allow people to use both chains, something with interoperability, like, right? With Hedron ICOSA, you could use a ETH Hedron to bid on HSIs from pulsechain and all this stuff you're doing. For these tokens that are bonded to the T-share rate. But here you go, like you're not gonna have even a debate, at minimum, a debate. Again, a meeting of the minds, a discussion at minimum, not even a debate. It doesn't have to be adversarial. Just, hey, have a talk and teach the people and help the people educate it. And maybe everybody could benefit. Everyone could learn about what's what. Wow. It's incredible. Incredible. Y'all see? Or did you miss that? Did you miss him saying that? Like miss as in didn't catch him saying that? Well, he said it. He said it. And it's crickets.